be like, I'm cursed.
I'm bewitched. Ah! It's when everyone's like, hey, are you sure that these girls are bewitched?
Don't tell me not to live, just sit and butter.
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld as John Proctor. That's what my therapist said, but I can't be diagnosed with another thing.
You did nothing all weekend. Someone's like, what'd you do this weekend?
There was
a huge party.
The devil was present.
Yeah, the devil was there. Between February 1692 and May 1693, more than 200 people were accused of witchcraft in Salem, Massachusetts.
By the end of the Salem witch trials, the Massachusetts Bay Colony had executed 14 women, 5 men, and 2 dogs.
My name is Blair.
And I'm Carley.
This is Girl Historians.
The Salem Witch Files.
Ahoy! Oh my God, welcome back to the podcast.
Hello, welcome back to Girl Historians.
It's Girl Historians now. We're changing the name from Truth Tannic
so we can
to
do
Girl
other
Historians.
stuff because we're done with the Titanic. It's dead to us. It's at the bottom of the ocean. Boring.
Yeah,
Flop.
boring. We decided that boats are out, witches are in. Boats are boys, witches are girls.
And it's the year of the girls.
It's the year of the girls.
It's the year of the
historians.
witch.
Yeah, so if you're familiar with the lore of our podcast, we were only going to do 8 episodes of Truth Tannic. Had too much fun.
A true crime podcast, basically a comedy podcast about the Titanic.
Yes, we did basically none of that. Well, we did the 8 episodes that were 10 episodes.
We did 10 episodes.
9 or 10.
9 or 10 episodes. And we also did talk about the Titanic.
We talked about the Titanic a lot. And
we figured out that it was the captain's fault.
Yeah. And we also just figured out a lot more than anyone needs to know about the Titanic.
I know.
But it's also really powerful to know so much about a boat.
It's very powerful to just know an encyclopedic knowledge of any event in history, because then somebody could be like, well, what's this? And you can be like, it's this.
Yeah.
It's this.
Yeah, you're actually wrong. It's fun to have a casual conversation with someone, then they say a fact wrong and you get to correct them.
I know, and you're making the choice.
It always makes the vibe
fantastic.
Awesome and better.
They're happy that you did it.
They're happy that you did it. Yes. Nothing makes me feel more sound in myself than someone correcting me.
Yeah, it doesn't make me get mad.
No, I never get mad.
So we're back.
Really calm individual.
We're back again for season 2.
Yeah, we're so excited.
Talking about we're doing the Salem Witch Files.
Salem Witch Files.
Thought about doing the Salem Bitch Trials, but then SEO and the word bitch is not.
Yeah, they don't like when you swear, even though bitch is actually empowering.
And bitch is actually just a female dog.
Yeah, bitch is a female dog, and female dogs bark, and bark is on a tree. And
trees are beautiful.
Trees are beautiful. Because nature is beautiful, so you just call me beautiful. Thank you very much. Facts. So we've changed the name to Girl Historians so that we can do more things.
We're going to be covering the Salem Witch Trials.
From the beginning of the trial.
To Wicked the movie.
Wicked the movie, because we've decided anything that is even vaguely related to the Salem Witch Trials.
We're going to talk about,
We're going to talk, and also because we want to talk about Wicked. We're not going to do this podcast and pretend like we don't want to do a Wicked episode.
Like, here's the thing. It's like we're living in our most true and authentic selves. And part of that denotes that I'm not going to lie and say I don't want to do an episode talking about the lore of Wicked and Wicked the musical.
It's 2024, and 2024 is about living our honest truth.
Yeah.
And
that means we want to do a Wicked episode.
We want to do a Wicked episode.
And that's fine.
It's actually good.
We have changed the Truth Tannic email. So if you recall from before, a couple of housekeeping things.
Yes.
You used to be able to email us at truthtannic@gmail.com. You still can.
Yes.
You can also email us at girlhistorians@gmail.com.
Both will get to us. We prefer the Girl Historians email.
But it will be forwarded either way.
Yeah.
It's fine. Let us know if there are any episodes or ideas you want to do. I feel like the Salem Witch Trials has a chokehold on the girlies. The Titanic does, but I feel like more so the Titanic movie has a chokehold on the girlies.
Yeah, for sure.
The Salem Witch Trials as a cultural event has it's just for the girls.
Well, because I feel like as a girl, you can really be like, I would either be a girl getting accused or accusing.
No, but that's the thing. It's like through doing research, because I read a fucking thicky Salem Witch Trials book on the beach in Mexico.
Casual.
It's girls front and center. Like it is truly like women in STEM in many ways. It's
World
all
War I
girls.
for girls.
Yes, we also housekeeping have a Patreon that you can subscribe to.
Oh my god.
We'll be uploading new episodes every Friday and new videos the following Monday, I believe, on the YouTube channel, which I guess I'll have to change, which is a whole thing. But I'm not thinking about that right now.
Whatever.
I know you can change it, so it's fine.
It's just a nightmare.
But if you want to get early access to the episodes, that will be on the Patreon, as well as bonus content and more. All of this will be linked in the show notes.
Yeah.
That's really all the housekeeping shit.
Pretty much. And
using my witch's broom to do housekeeping.
Witch's broom.
I'm witch's broom.
Enchant my cauldron.
We do want to do witch's. We want to drink witch's brews, and that isn't witch's brew like that busted energy drink that Rob found in LA.
Oh my God, yeah. Witch's Brew. That's awesome. We're going to do an episode where we drink a bunch of Witch's Brew energy drink, then just go pump iron.
Yeah, exactly.
For hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, it's going to be an episode of us silently pumping iron. Well, not silently, because we will be getting into it.
We'll be chatting. We'll be chatting a lot.
That's going to be us pumping iron. Okay, shall we? Sorry, this hat is driving me insane.
Just take the hat
I
off.
shouldn't have put it on for hours beforehand. That's
You
kind
really
of my
opened the
pitch.
door
I opened the door with my
wearing
witch
this
hat being like, hello.
Yeah. So Carly and I both have witch hats on for those who are audio listeners, and they are maybe the hottest witch hats, both sexy-wise and heat-wise that we could have possibly
Yes, and they
found.
are wool. And I have a theory that I am allergic to wool and it's itch. But that's like a problem. Like literally I had to buy like a fleece hat for children with alopecia or eczema because my skin is so sensitive. So no matter what hat I wear in the winter, like my forehead gets itchy because I also have a high hairline. I have an Elizabethan forehead, if you will. But that means
you
that, like,
are Elizabethan.
like a considerable amount of my forehead is exposed to the rim of a hat, right?
Oh,
so it's getting itchy. I do think I was watching, and everybody should watch it. I watched Sense and Sensibility on Netflix, the Jane Austen movie.
With Gwyneth Paltrow?
No, that's Emma.
Oh,
this is written by Emma Thompson and has Kate Winslet in it.
Oh, wait, that's
Alan
way better.
Rickman as well.
How have I never seen this?
She is like, it's really, really good. Like, it was the first movie Emma Thompson ever wrote, and it's wild. It's phenomenal. You should watch it. I really, really enjoyed it. It's like not one of her Jane Austen's most novels, not to like, you know, lob absolute bombs at Jane Austen, but like the plot itself is fine, but Emma Thompson is wonderful, and it's so just about like women and sisters, and it's lovely. But Kate Winslet in that is very like we've talked about it before with the Titanic movie. Like she just looks from a different time.
No, she looks like a painting.
Like Emma Thompson is in that movie, and like she doesn't look like she doesn't have iPhone face, but you're like this is a woman from now. Yeah, but you look at Kate Winslet and you're like, oh. They got a woman from the past.
Well, it's the same with like I watched a Bridget Jones's Diary in December for the first time, and Bridget Jones, Renee Zellweger has 1990s face in a way that like I didn't realize that people had 1998 face in that.
Yes, and we don't really have 1998 face now because of plastic surgery, and I'll talk about it. Like
exhausting.
Somebody posted on their Instagram story the other day, like, why do people get nose jobs, and then a bunch of pictures, and this is an insane thing to post, but I love it anyway, of like people before and after nose jobs. And it's not just like nose job, but it's like the who knows nose job, where it's like you don't get a nose.
Oh, the little ski jump.
The ski jump. And it is true of like, I get it, like some people have like really complex feelings, and there's like Eurocentricity in the beauty standards and all that stuff, but that nose doesn't exist in nature, let's say that. And it looks strange, and it's really depriving us as a society of like different beauty standards. Like, I don't know. You could not pay me. I've been reading a lot about the Sephora Tweens, all the little tweens and kids that go to Sephora.
The Sephora Tweens. Everyone's complaining about the Sephora 10-year-olds, and I'm like, I want them all to be my friends.
Well, yes, but I do think...
But it's horrifying.
Yes, I do. Like, to think about being aware of anti-aging at the ripe age of 10, like, we need to take it back.
Something's wrong.
And if I had a kid, like, I'd be like, I do not care how fucking weird you are. You're not having a phone. Because, like, I don't want you to be like, I need retinoids for my 10-year-old skin.
Yeah, like, you're going to we're going to have a bunch of 12-year-olds with terrible skin barriers if we're not careful.
Also, this is how I feel about that fucking tech guy who like doesn't want to die, and he's putting all that money into like being young forever. You haven't heard about him?
No, I haven't heard about this.
He's awesome.
Because he's sick, though.
He's like in his 50s, I think, and he's doing all this work to basically trying to cheat death, and he's putting all this tech money into being young forever. But he looks like older than he is because of all like the work he's getting done and stuff. Like it's really funny because he just like fully looks his age just by being like, I'm gonna cheat death. And that pisses me off because it's like, how we're all going to age. It's inevitable, right? Yeah. Like it's going to happen. And instead of putting time and effort into creating like science that makes it easier to age and maybe makes it so that you're more able-bodied for longer and you're not in pain or things like that.
I want my face to look like plasticine for as long as possible.
I won't be old at all. I don't want to be old at all, but it's like you're going to be. So why can't we just like as a society move to the place where we accept that age is beautiful? Because if we're all going to do it, like why would we not make the beauty standard the thing we're all going to be? Do you know what I mean? So it's like so much money and marketing is going into like making it so 10-year-olds feel like they shouldn't age, where I'm like, why can't we put all this money into like coming to terms with the fact that we're all going to age?
Also, just like you look bad when you're 10.
Yeah,
this is what I'm wondering.
You've never looked worse. Like I had a Karen haircut.
Oh yeah,
like I looked. I always think that where I'm like, I remember being like until like I was like 19 and being like, I don't look good and I don't know why. And then I just became an adult and I was like, oh, I'm slaying.
No,
like you just like get your adult face and you're like, I look great.
One of my friends tweeted something the other day and I was like, man, and she's so funny. Heather McDonald, I forget what her Twitter is, but it's private anyway. I don't know why I said that.
You're plugging her private Twitter.
Plugging her private
There's
Twitter.
some great stuff on there. Sucks that you can't see it.
But she tweeted something that was just like, one day in your life, you'll have the hottest day of your life and you won't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
And she, quote, retweeted it and said, and the conversation people aren't ready to have is you're going to be 26 years old minimum.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is so true, because we're kind of programmed to think like, oh, I'm the hottest I'll ever be at like 19 years old. It's like, no, you look weird when you're 19 because you're a weird combo of child and adult.
Yes.
Like you look the best when you're
and I feel like
adult.
That's proven by so many people being like, I know this is weird, but I think so and so is so hot. It's like, ugly hot. And you're like, but if we're all saying it, then I think we just need to move like then the beauty standard is older.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just changed. Like it's to say, I said this last season a bunch, but it's like if you saw Henry Cavill at a bar, it would
terrifying,
he's freaking harrowing, because it's like you're so doll attractive that it's not really that.
I even think, have you seen May December?
Yes.
Okay, so Charles Melton is everything to me. If anybody has his contact information, like where you should get him on the podcast.
Charles Melton on Girl Historians 2025.
That's 2025. We're gonna get Rachel Zegler, and then we're getting Charles Melton.
Getting Rachel
He's
Zegler.
phenomenal in that movie. He's amazing.
Incredible.
I love him, and I also famously have seen every single episode of Riverdale.
That's
amazing.
I've not seen a single one.
So like to me, he has been in my zeitgeist for like when I watched that in the pandemic, when I was watching Riverdale with my sister, I'd be like, he is so fine. Like nobody's ready to have this conversation. And he's really good. Like he's good in Riverdale with
I love that.
with the peanuts they're giving him to work with. So now that we're all on that, I'm so happy we're all on that wavelength. But in May, December, he gained like 40 pounds and they like they have him in like one of those big watches. Like, you know, the big kind of like
watch.
It's like a watch that like you could scuba dive in. You know what I mean? And they have him like dressed kind of like, he's not like, because he's like Ken doll ripped and whatever in regular life. And I'm like, oh, when they make him normal, he's hotter to me.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's a conversation we all need to have as a society of like, everybody should be normal and they're hotter to everyone the more normal they are, as opposed to like,
yeah, 100%. Like I watched The Iron Claw.
Because he's like 50% muscle. And that's really, I can't with that.
It's also just like being that ripped.
I want you to look regular.
Makes you, like there's even been, I think it was Zac Efron who did an interview who was like, being so ripped all the time makes you depressed because you can't really do anything else.
Fun. And
like you can't have any fun. You can't like eat normally because like
it's not like eating healthy. It's like eating like pure protein.
Yeah, you have to eat like you have to wake up and eat like 3 chicken breasts. Like it's not fun.
No.
But I watched The Iron Claw.
Yeah.
Which incredible.
This is a movie podcast now.
Oh my God.
I haven't seen it yet, but yeah, this is a movie podcast now.
Iron Claw, no spoilers. It's a true story. So it's hard
to You can Google it.
You can Google it. But The Iron Claw, the 3 main guys are all wrestlers and they're all so jacked.
Yeah.
But particularly Zac Efron and Jeremy Allen White
are
just jacked. The third guy, it kind of came off like he had more like, the third guy, I forget the third guy's name, but he's less famous, but he's incredible.
Okay, I love that.
He's the breakout star, I think, of The Iron Claw.
Well, you talk about this, I'm going to Google.
Yeah, Google is his name. But they are so insanely ripped in it. And also they're like the height of like 80s fashion. So they all look like He-Man dolls.
I love that.
And it's honestly kind of like, oh, this is what we're going to look like.
Yes.
To people like 30, 20, 40 years in the future, because we're following all these trends of kind of what it is to be
Jacob
super
Friedman.
hot. Is that his name?
He's a professional wrestler. Isn't that crazy?
Wait,
he played Lance Von Erich or whatever.
That's no.
Oh, Harris Dickinson. Oh, from
Harris Dickinson. Yeah,
he's from Triangle of Sadness.
Oh, is he?
He's fucking crazy good. He's so good.
That. Okay, that's really nice to hear because I was like, he
should be in everything.
He should be in everything. I think he will.
Well, that's how I feel too. Of like, if there is somebody who's like a white guy or girl who is in a movie who is not previously famous and they're not good, I'm like, what? Like, no, but like literally, I'm like,
get there?
It's like how Sachin, who's in our improv troupe, always says if like an improv troupe goes on stage and it's all white guys, he's like, this better be the best fucking thing I've ever seen. That's
you guys better all be prodigies.
I'm like, if you're because of systematic oppression, there's just like there's already so many white people to choose from in acting.
Yeah.
And if you are not already famous, so you're bringing people to the project, or fucking phenomenal, I'm like, somebody else could do this better. Like, you're telling me there's not somebody who could do this better? Which is how I felt about Mean Girls, the musical.
Oh my God. Okay, segue. What did you think?
I cannot believe that was the finished product, quite frankly.
I think a lot of the reviews are coming in from people I know, the reviewers.
The reviews of your friends.
The reviews of my friends, which are the most important to me because that's in my heart. But it's that Renee Rapp is an amazing singer and she's super hot, and that the movie overall was fun. And I can't disagree with either of those takes.
And that is why, again, I'm so reticent. I was going to make a video about it, which is why I went to see it. But now I feel like I can't, because I feel like if I make fun of it, people are going to take that it's just bad. It's going to be the Saltburn effect of people being like, it's crazy. And then people will not make their own assumptions about it. They will not just go see it and have a good time. And it was fun. It wasn't long. It was exactly what it needed to be. The dancing was awful. It was horrible. Like, I was shaken to my core how bad it was. When other stuff, at least, like, it wasn't for me. I think the whole entire sound design of it was awful. The benefit of having a movie musical is you can do stuff with the underscoring that you can't do with a Broadway musical, and they just made it sound empty as fuck.
Yeah.
Also, they had fucking Glee pentatonics featuring so much like—
They got pentatonics?
No, but it's which is not in the musical.
Do 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 do
ba.
No,
what?
No, nightmare. I really got the impression that there were just too many cooks in the kitchen entirely in the creative team. Because when you see it's like it was co-directed by two people. Why? Why did we need two directors? Then you have these layers of writing where it's like the original book, which is a sociology book.
Yes.
That Queen Bees and Wannabes. You have that book. Then you have the original Tina Fey Mean Girls. Then you have the musical on stage. Then you have the book by Tina Fey. Then you have this other adaptation. So like, how many people do you need to write this thing? I also had heard originally it was supposed to be like on Peacock, like a streaming movie.
Yes.
Which almost makes
And then
me—
the actor's strike happened. Sorry, I've lost my phone, and I do feel like we should talk about the Salem Witch Trials eventually.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, to summarize feelings on Mean Girls the musical, it's fine. It could have been more. And yeah, Mean Girls the musical. I also saw All of Us Strangers. Quick shout out to that if you want to see the most depressing movie of Paul Mescal and Andrew Scott looking out of windows for 2 hours, and Claire Foy and Jamie Bell acting their asses off. Great, incredibly depressing.
Okay, let's talk about the Salem Witch Trials.
Yes, let's get into it.
What is your relationship to the Salem Witch Trials? I feel like we should talk about it quickly.
Okay, honestly, I know about it. I have read about it a lot more in preparation for this.
Yes, but prior to deciding to do the podcast on it, like, where were we?
Honestly, prior to the podcast, I feel like I had like a very like normal level knowledge of the Salem Witch Trials. Yes. I think it's something that I learned more about as I got more into feminism, like as a teenager, which is terrible to say.
We are the daughters of the witches they couldn't burn.
The daughters of the witches they couldn't burn. So I feel like I just had kind of like a pretty average like pop culture knowledge level of it, which is kind of fun for me because I went into Titanic knowing a ton.
Yes.
So I was excited to go into something where I feel like I genuinely am learning.
Yes. I learned a lot in preparation for this. I thought I knew a lot more than I did because I was obsessed with it as a young child because there's a Scooby-Doo Salem Witch Trials movie.
I love that.
Which we will be screening for this podcast in some way or another.
So excited.
And they have the Hex Girls. It's the first appearance of the Hex Girls, the like kind of vampire, basically, I'll say lesbian band. They're all hot. And as a child, I was
Girls is a lesbian.
If there's 3 girls in a band, that's a lesbian band.
Yes.
Sorry, boy genius.
I just said 3 girls equal a lesbian.
3 girls is a lesbian. 3 girls is a lesbian.
3 girls hanging out is equivalent to having one woman.
So I was like obsessed with it, and I thought I knew a lot about it. But through doing this, like now I know like the actual minute facts about it, if that makes sense. Yes. I think that a lot of times like I knew about it, but like we conflate facts about the UK witch trials, I think, a lot with the Salem witch trials.
Yeah,
I thought way more people died. I thought way more people got burned. At the stake. Nobody gets burned at the stake. People get hanged. I'm going to say that a million fucking times. We talked about this before. Before we recorded, but the correct like grammatical word is he was hanged, not hung. Curtains are hung.
He was hanged.
Curtains are hung. Humans are hanged. But I'm gonna I'm sorry. It's gonna happen, but get ready.
I also think I knew I was interested in witches and witchcraft and stuff like that. So that's where a lot of my knowledge came from.
It is like you said, it's like it is World War II for girls of like, it is really interesting to learn about because basically besides like the John Proctor and some of the guys, but like it's about women, like in a big way. It's really interesting.
It's a lot of
young women, a lot of old women.
Yeah, a lot of it feels like something that obviously I think it would be surprising if a bunch of people got hanged for witchcraft.
Thank you.
God damn it. Now, but it wouldn't be unthinkable.
No, because that's a new cancel culture. That's actually what cancel culture is.
What cancel culture
Having
is.
the internet be upset at you is the same thing as losing your life.
It's true. It's true.
I will say, I read a book. I read Cultish by Amanda Montell a while ago, and talked about just like different cults in relation to pop culture. And one of the things that she interviewed a survivor of the Jonestown massacre, which was a cult that like moved to a compound that was secluded, and they drank the Kool-Aid.
They had the Kool-Aid.
Yes,
the Kool-Aid.
And the person said, like, I cannot believe that it's a saying. I drank the Kool-Aid. Like, I can't believe that's a saying. That's so crazy offensive. Like, people died because there's a belief that like people who joined cults were brainwashed, when in actuality, like, especially with Jonestown, like the fact that America was so deeply entrenched in like hardcore racism, like it was a lot of times people who were of mixed race or people of color who were like indoctrinated into Jonestown because they were like, you can live in this racial utopia free from the racism of current society, right? Yeah. So basically that's all to say, like, I was like, I need to stop saying drink the Kool-Aid. Like, that's actually really fucked up and crazy. And researching the Salem witch trials has made me feel that way about witch hunt.
Yeah.
When people are like, cancel culture's a witch hunt, I'm like, but it's not though, because nobody's getting hanged.
No one's coming to your house and hanging you and your child.
Yeah, what's happening is it's fucking Blair MacMillan is over party is trending on Twitter. That's not the same as being taken to the gallows.
Yeah.
So maybe chill.
I have to lay low in Cuba for like a week or two. You know, it's just like being hanged.
It's exactly.
Oh man.
I know. It was like, that was a big thing. Like because I was reading this book when we were in Mexico, my parents were there and they were pissed. I love them, but they were pissing me off being like, just how old people talk about this stuff. Like they were like, well, now you lose your job. And I'm like, again, not being hanged. So I think it's okay. Like, do I think it's right? And also, no. Like, also, let's say it. If you lose your job, you shouldn't have done what you did. There.
Maybe don't lose your job. Maybe be better at your job.
Yes. Okay.
Maybe be the CEO.
Be the CEO.
Consider being a leader
for once in your life. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some basic facts. Then I have created a basic timeline with dates.
I'm so excited.
The ages of most people and the main players. We're going to have an episode that's going to have a way more intense overview of the entire thing. This is a basic overview, so you can listen to this episode and go into the next episodes with knowledge. Okay? And the main players. We're going to be casting all of the main players.
I'm so excited.
I've marked the ones that need to be cast because they come up a bunch.
I'm so excited. So if you are coming to us new, or if you're coming to us from season 1, we have kind of shifted the way we're gonna do things, which is that we want everyone to come in with the same like base level knowledge, and then we'll all learn from there together. So
we're not like, oh, by the way, this person exists and you never knew about them.
Yeah, but also hopefully you can just drop in on any episode that you feel like and still have fun.
But if you want the information,
this is where it's at.
Okay, so it took place in the Massachusetts Bay Colony.
Quality.
Basically takes place in Salem Town and Salem Village. Salem Town is like the wealthier part, and then the village is just outside. There was a lot of land disputes. We're going to get into the minutia of that. It's like honestly not that interesting, but it is important to talk about. Because a lot of people think that like land played a big factor in like accusations, because if you were an accused witch and a felon, then your property could be seized.
Yes.
And the poor farmers in Salem Village like resented the people in the town who were merchants and richer, and the town resented the village, the whole thing. Basically, it's all Puritans, and the Puritans came over from Europe because of religious persecution. Also, like, not to come for the Puritans, but like they're fucking annoying. Like they are, I was reading recently about how like Shakespeare had such beef with the Puritans.
And that makes sense.
And like Malvolio in the 12th Night is kind of like representation of the Puritans, because the Puritans hated theater because it was like sinful.
Yeah.
And they wanted to shut down theater. So they hated theater.
Yeah, that's too bad.
They hated that you couldn't work on the Sabbath, wedlock, all that stuff. Like, I mean, they do get very much portrayed as like dressed in black and dour people. They were a wide range of people, but the beliefs very much, it's so based on like repenting as well. Like admittance is massive, and we're going to see that because in the Salem witch trials, nobody ended up hanged who admitted to being a witch.
Yeah, like if you admitted to being a witch in this time, you just went to jail. You just went to jail, or you were like, you got a deal for like accusing someone else for being a witch.
But people who refuse to admit because you're not admitting and you're not repenting for your sins, they were the ones who were punished.
Yeah,
that kind
which
of
is crazy.
Which is it's insane to think about. This took place from January 1692 to May 1693. I've written in the note that it took place from January 1692 to May 1963. That's incorrect. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've never been diagnosed, but I have 100% dyslexia with numbers. I cannot remember numbers. I often say numbers incorrectly. Like I will read a number and say a number wrong. It's called like dysnomia instead of dyslexia. I have it. So the way I'm going to say 1963 500 times in this podcast, just know I'm talking about 1693.
I think we can all keep it in our minds that we're talking about the 1600s.
Life was bad.
It was the late 1600s. We're in colonial America. And it's Massachusetts. No one's happy. And you're all a weird type of Protestant.
In the trenches.
Where you have even less fun than normal Protestants.
Exactly. So a couple of things to note for context for the Salem witch trials. First of all, this is coming on the heels, and we will talk about this war more so later, because I have to do research on how to talk about it in a non-offensive way, because most media on the Salem witch trials will talk about it's a war. It's called the French slur for Indigenous people war, basically. And it's a war between the colonists and the indigenous tribes of the area. And the indigenous tribes basically won. They were scalping colonial men left, right, and center.
Well, it's almost like if a bunch of random poor English people came to America and the indigenous people there, lived there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like they made points.
Yeah,
Points were made, and I'm not saying that the scalping was ill placed. Obviously, they were right. It's like that little quote from Pocahontas where it's like, I do not trust these white men. And you're like, and you're correct.
And you shouldn't.
Your instinct's correct on that one.
Yeah.
But the communities in the Massachusetts Bay Colony, specifically a lot of women, have been traumatized up until this point because they have seen their brothers and fathers murdered. A lot of the accusers were traumatized from those events. Most of the accusers had lost fathers or brothers. So it's a lot of fatherless young women, traumatized. Also, the women were highly literate and capable.
That's so interesting.
I know, which is not their representation.
The ladies could read?
Yes, because you need to read the Bible, bitch.
Oh, true.
Yes, so that's what they read the Bible all the time. So it's all these 9-year-olds, and the only thing they're allowed to read are horrifying tales from the Bible.
Oh my
so
God.
your imagination running rampant because all you can think about is hell.
Well, I do remember, I went to Catholic school up until the 7th grade, and the stories that they'll just tell you that are meant to be inspired. And Catholics are way more chill. I can't believe I'm calling Catholics chill.
But honestly, than the Puritans. I went to Protestant school in America, which is really whack to think about.
Protestant school in America?
I know. And I remember having this thing, and it's so funny because my family, I'm really not religious. I'm trying to get in touch with spirituality, but I am not Protestant. I am not Christian.
I'm culturally Catholic.
Yes, you are heavily culturally Catholic. But I remember having this image of because I have, again, let's just talk about all the issues that with my brain. I have dysnomia and I have a real problem with impulsive thinking.
You're quirky?
Yeah, I'm quirky.
Yeah.
I have impulsive, quirky thoughts. It might be a symptom of ADHD that I'm not aware of. I feel like I've got OCD tendencies, although not diagnosed, where I will have impulsive thoughts about bad stuff.
Yes.
Constantly.
Jump off a cliff?
Thinking. Yes. Yeah. Or a big thing is, even though it's not true, but I'll constantly be I'm a pedophile. I'm a pedophile and I don't know it. I'm a pedophile.
Oh, that's real. That's OCD probably. Maybe.
Yes, that's what my therapist said, but I can't be diagnosed with another thing. I simply must move forward with my life. But it's that.
Yeah.
And I had that as a kid where I kept thinking, I hate God. And then I'd be ugh. And I would literally be rolling on my floor in my room. My parents, God, I don't know what I would do. I always tell this stuff to Reese, my partner, and he's always if I had you as a kid, I'd be I have a 4-year-old who's depressed. Being I keep thinking that I hate God and I'm going to hell or whatever.
Were your parents religious?
No.
Oh, so you...
Not really. I'm just a nightmare.
Who is striking the sphere of God in you?
The Protestant school.
The Protestant school. No, Protestants are the reasons why we have terrible drinking laws in Ontario, Canada. So
okay, I love that. So that's basically that. So it's important to note that while these accusations are taking place, life is hellish. So many men have been murdered. Widows run amok. Orphans. They are highly educated but can't do anything besides read the Bible and read horrific tales. Okay?
Yes.
So that's really the kind of what's...
I'm really picturing you now that you've told the story about rolling on the floor thinking you hate
I'm
God.
an accuser.
I'm really thinking that you're one of the orphans
100%.
reading the Bible.
Well, that's the thing, because I went for so long, and we'll talk about this in the ending segment, but like,
Exciting.
I went for so long being like, I would be such a witch. And then I'm like, bitch, no. I'd be like, yeah.
Be like, I'm cursed.
I'm bewitched.
Oh, Breen.
Because a big thing about it is like attention. And we'll talk about like what really happened, because there's a lot of different theories, but like
there's so much.
There's no normal teenagers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you have a heavily traumatized teenager with nothing to do, and for the first time in their life, the men in their community are actually paying attention to them and taking care of them, because also a Protestant woman your day is filled with work. All you're doing is chores. Like, the men are studying the Bible or like maybe doing farming, but you are like raising children, doing all the housework.
Sweeping.
It's like your day is so fucking full, it's crazy. Yeah. And same with the daughters. Like, the daughters are basically raising the other kids. Basically, like, you have an eldest daughter to have a live-in servant, babe. Yeah. Like, congratulations. Yeah. But then
don't I know, Mom.
Eldest daughter syndrome.
Just kidding.
I hate that, but we have no time to talk about that. And people are like, it's hard to be the eldest daughter. I'm like, life, there used to be the draft. Like, respectfully, like, we used to have a draft. Like,
yeah, you used to be the live-in servant for your mother.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you said, like, I'm bewitched, then all of a sudden everyone's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's
relax.
Attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For real.
Okay, so that's basically where we're at here. The Massachusetts Bay Colony, in approximately a year and a half, executed 14 women, 5 men, and 2 dogs.
Oh, not the dogs.
I know, who were accused of being witches. Depressing. And we're going to get into the dogs later.
Oh,
because the dogs were accused of being witches, and they were not hung.
I've accused my cat of being a witch a lot. I think she's putting spells on me.
5 accused witches died in prison as well.
That's rough.
Yes.
That's worse.
Because they were, and we'll talk about the jail later, were awful.
For sure, not good.
It was like hell. Like, it was like not meant to hold as many people as it held.
Oh my God.
But like, you were shackled the entire time you were there because your hands were your like wands and shit.
Oh my God.
Awful.
Yikes.
Awful.
Oh, that's a nightmare. That's
more
nightmare
than
material.
200 people were accused of witchcraft.
Oh my God.
The main accusers were young and teenage girls, the people who were actually accusing people.
Okay.
But the accusations crossed gender, age, and class lines, because the assumption, and they do get accused, do not worry, but the assumption, I think, is like, it's older widows, older women who do not conform to society's standards, and they get accused. Don't worry. But by the end of this year and a half, it's like nobody is safe. And I think towards my theory is that towards the end, when everyone was getting accused, you are incentivized to be a bewitched accuser, because then you're not a witch.
Well, yeah, and it's that whole thing of being like, well, you're a witch. So it's like, no, well, I am a witch, but it's only because Mary Beth gave me witchcraft.
Exactly. It's very that.
Yeah.
So they crossed all those different lines.
I got peer pressured into witchcraft.
So let's get into the basic timeline. And I will let you know, I have the ages listed for everybody, because the ages are... It's just crazy to think about. It's whack.
The ages are nuts.
And we have to cast with we have to do some dream casts.
Yes,
with our dream
I'm
cast.
excited. I really want Abigail Breslin to play some.
Oh, I know we can get young Abigail Breslin?
Yes. Okay. I know she's in her 20s now, but I feel like Little Miss Sunshine Abigail Breslin.
I've got pitches.
I'm excited.
Okay. So this was a fact I read, that most witch trials do take place in the winter, because the winter sucks and everyone wants to kill themselves.
Well, this is okay. So I watched a little documentary last night that was saying that the witch trials all commenced right after like one of the worst winters they'd ever seen.
Yeah.
Which is so mood, because whenever it's like too cold, I'm just like, I'm going to ruin one of my best friend's lives.
No, well, that's
for no reason.
Like, what I've started doing, and if you look at, because I use Storygraph to track my reading.
I love Storygraph.
And they show like how many books you read each month. And every single January, I read like 10 books, because if I don't fill up my whole day with reading, I will ruin a life. Like, it really feels like, specifically, especially in January, like I'm going to snap. Yeah. And I'm going to ruin a life. Like, quite frankly, like I'm going to like snap at somebody and be like, what? You do not say that.
Well, it's also like literally yesterday, I was just like, I would love to just go to the park with my book and like not even like turn off my phone, put it in my bag, and just like sit in the park. And I was like, I can't do it because it's cold.
I know. And well, that's the main thing, right? Like, you're just inside all the fucking time. And imagine if it was January, but it was the 1600s.
It's the 1600s. You can't do anything. You're also 8 years old.
And the only thing you can read is the Bible.
And your mother and father are probably mean. And you have to learn how to spell Massachusetts.
Oh my God.
Which is its own kind of trauma.
That's its, gun to my head, couldn't do it. I also can't do I get necessary and successful.
Necessary? I can't spell
necessary. I know
necessary.
Necessary has 1 C and 2 S's, but then successful has 2 C's and 2 S's. What the fuck? Also, you know what I looked up the other day?
Necessary
I was writing mustache out.
Oh no, don't. No.
Mustache?
No, I can't.
No.
I can't. I literally can't.
That's fucking crazy.
No, there's a story. So I was going to be a Siobhan. My parents were going to name me Siobhan, or my dad wanted to.
That's tough.
And
it's a beautiful name.
My mother.
It's a beautiful name, but the North Americans do not fuck with Irish spelling. Like,
no,
the teacher would just be like, okay, it's Savone. Anyways.
Yeah. No, my mother shut it down because she was like, she will not be able to spell her first name. And she was correct. So I got
to this day, you'd be like,
right.
S-I-V. Yeah. No. The V. Wild. That's like, they talk about this on, it's like on Las Culturistas. They were talking about like moments in culture. And one of them was the arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell. And they were like, that no name has been more fucked up spelled.
Yeah.
Like, if I was like, how do you spell Ghislaine?
Ghislaine. It would not be
Ghislaine. Crazy.
No, it's nuts. It's literally, it's like Saoirse.
So on January 16th, 1960, again, it's
1692.
1692. 200 years after Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Oh!
I don't know if that's true. I'm the American school system.
1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. He went in his little boat. And he went to the dough. So, the first 2 afflicted girls in Salem, Massachusetts start having symptoms. Ugh.
Betty Paris, who is 9 years old.
Oh my God.
And Abigail Williams, who's 11.
Oh my God.
They are both notably living in the minister of Salem's house, Samuel Paris.
Oh, so it like sucks for them.
Yes.
Those girls
that's
are
a big
hoping
thing of like,
for their Hogwarts letter.
No, honestly. They are under the cupboard under the stairs.
Cupboard under the stairs. They are
looking for the owls in the sky.
Yeah,
baby.
they're like, please take me to Hogwarts.
Boarding school, please.
Boarding school. There probably wasn't
even a
boarding
thing
school.
Where a lot of the like afflicted, like they're from very, very, like they're usually from well-off families because it's like very, very like puritanical family. So it's either daughters who are like living there or a lot of the servants who are the older girls who are like 19 and 20 because that's how you got to see the world as a woman. Your family would be like, you're going to go be a servant for the minister.
It's like, what?
And you're 19 and that's what you do.
That's like very like, I like the vision of the girls who are accusing women of being witches being like the 11-year-old that bullied you in middle school who wore like entirely Abercrombie.
They are Sephora. They're Sephora kids.
They're Sephora kids. The Sephora kids who are ruining the lives of grown
women.
I
know that they are servants, so like they obviously weren't the same way, but it is like very much the vibe of like the girl who got highlights first in your school. God. Like, do you know what I mean? Yes. Like that's who's accusing you. I know
first girl to give a blowjob.
No, it's like they're all blonde. You know what I mean?
All blonde. Yeah, no, they're getting their roots done.
It's rough, and they
got a balayage before they had a term.
A uniform in my high school when I was in America, and there was like it's the girls who like decided what uniform because there was different versions of like it was like a khaki skirt and a polo shirt.
Okay,
but they like decided the one khaki skirt that was cool to wear. You know that kind of thing. So it'd be like that. They all had like the longest blonde hair and they would be accusing witches. I wore like my Ramones shirt on free dress day. Like I was like, I'm so different. I know about this band because Harry Styles wore this shirt. So they have a mysterious affliction. A lot of these, we'll go more into detail when we do our episode on what witchcraft is, but it's a lot of like, my knees are locked and I'm screaming and somebody's pinching me. Somebody's poking me with a pin and I can't see
me when
them.
I'm on my period.
Literally.
Oh my God.
Get some chocolate, bitch.
Tell me I'm going to be a bitch all week.
Yes. So this continues into February of this I'm not going to say 1692. I'll let you know when it's a new year. How's that? Okay.
Assume the year from here on in is 1692.
200 years after Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Yeah.
So it's February. The girls continue to be bewitched and they called one of the doctors in town. The colonies at this time is pretty like anti education. Like in a lot of ways. Like not like actually because Harvard was around, but like he was one of the doctors in town and he was fully illiterate.
Harvard was around.
Yeah, he was illiterate.
He was illiterate. He did not go to Harvard then.
He was a doctor who was illiterate. King.
That's awesome. Sometimes I feel like my doctor's
illiterate. There was no
lawyers
in the Massachusetts Bay Colony period at this time.
That's rough.
And so
there was just a lot. You know who's the real
guys
lawyer?
with opinions.
Jesus.
Exactly. God will be your lawyer.
Yeah, who is speaking through a man named John.
God gives his toughest trials to his strongest warriors.
Men. With funny little hats.
Honestly. And imagine everybody's dressed like a fucking pilgrim, basically.
That's awesome.
They're not 100% pilgrim, but that's how in my brain, everybody's in a fucking pilgrim outfit.
Or as Pinterest would call it,
coquette.
Yes,
literally.
Cottagecore.
They're all wearing Sandy Liang dresses.
It's dark cottagecore.
Yes. So William Griggs, the illiterate physician, diagnoses both Betty and Abigail as bewitched, okay? Mm-hmm. So he's kind of, I would argue, he's got blood on his hands.
No way.
Know? Because I feel like if he didn't put this idea in their mind, they're just kind of freaking.
Yeah.
What they were exhibiting is classical signs of hysteria, which we now know today to be overworked and your life is quite bad, so you're acting out because your life is awful.
Yes.
And he's like, no, you're actually bewitched though.
Okay, that's so interesting that they didn't come in being like, we've been bewitched.
No, they were just
that's a witch.
Yeah, because it's a lot of thrashing and stuff.
That's something
and it's
I would
tantrums. It's emotionally exhausted.
That's literally something I would tell my sister, to try and get into her head when we were kids.
You're bewitched.
Be like, you're bewitched. There's a witch on the street and
I bewitched you. You're bewitched.
Yeah. Sorry.
So that's illiterate King William Griggs, Leah Michelle's earliest known ancestor.
No.
So we're gonna cast. I mean, I don't have him as somebody to be cast but it's Leah Michelle.
Okay, so Leah Michelle, the illiterate doctor who has blood on their hands.
Exactly.
I like Leah Michelle as that.
Yes, and she gets a song. So on February 25th,
what's her song?
Don't tell me not. It's just don't rain on my parade. It's when everyone's like, "Hey, are you sure that these girls are bewitched?
Don't tell me not to live. Just sit and butter."
You know it's the season 2 because it only took us an hour to start singing show tunes.
Yes.
Woo!
Yay!
So on February 25th, Mary Sibley, who's a woman in town, she's not super consequential and it doesn't come up a bunch, but she makes a witch cake. And I want to note this just because it's insane.
Okay.
So she and John Indian, who is Tituba's husband,
yes,
the other slave, I guess, of the parish household, because Tituba, who we know from culture, and she'll come up very quickly, she is also the parish, so she's a parish slave, and her husband is John Indian, who's another parish slave.
Yes.
So Mary Sibley and John Indian make a witch cake, which is a special kind of, it's basically witchcraft for witches or whatever, of you can give this cake to bewitched people and it will lift their bewitchment.
Oh, okay.
Most notably, one of the ingredients is urine.
Awesome.
So where's
the cake. Bon Appetit recipe for witch cake?
Yeah, it's like that. Do you know that little German girl who just does vegan recipes?
No.
She it's so funny because in vegan food TikTok, there's all these people trying to really make it, and their lunch is getting absolutely eaten by this little German girl. Who, she's doing that. She's like, "Hello, and today we are making a witch cake. First, you get pee." So these girls eat piss.
Okay.
It doesn't lift the bewitchment, surprise, because we still have to execute.
It takes a lot.
14 people.
You know that there's been a lot of steps when you're eating piss as opposed to drinking it.
Well, they don't know that they're eating piss.
They don't know
they are unknowingly eating piss.
They're eating sneaky piss.
Exactly. It's stealth piss. They're Trojan horsing the piss in the witch cake.
Into the girls.
Yes.
Oh, no.
So on February 29th, Sarah Osbourne, Sarah Good, and Tituba are accused of witchcraft by the girls. Okay? Sorry. Also on February 25th, the day of the witchcraft, the day of the witch cake, Ann Putnam Jr., who's 12 years old, also becomes afflicted. Now, Ann Putnam Jr., I would pitch that she is going to be played by young Abigail Breslin because she fucks this up. She is a big ringleader later on.
Yes. So Ann Putnam Jr., I feel like I've heard of her.
She's
really...
at several points when they in the very beginning, when they accuse these 3 women, then they are like, okay, you guys are witches, you're going to go to jail. And the other girls are like, oh, great. Well, now that the witches are in jail, we're not bewitched anymore. And Ann Putnam Jr. is like, psych, I'm bewitched. Because I think she had gone through some, the Putnams are an incredibly influential family in Salem.
So and for her to decide to buckle down is a big deal.
Yes. And a lot of the people who are accused, which is kind of an interesting thing to think about, are people who had problems with the Putnams or had had land disputes or a lot of inheritance issues, a lot of widows who had the Putnam's terms, like swindled sons out of inheritances and stuff like that. So either mothers were telling daughters like, did that person bewitch you? Or you're hearing the gossip that your mother is talking about in the town. Because gossip is a real killer here in terms of being like, a lot of the early people who are accused were either like tituba, who was in the house of the parishes, so around them, or people who were kind of known to be in town gossip.
Okay.
So, and if you can think of two other girls to play, Betty and Abigail, who are we thinking? Because they're 9 and 11.
So Abigail Breslin, circa
and Putnam
Sunshine,
Jr.
is Anne Putnam Jr.
at 12. So she's a little younger, but I just think she's got the beef.
Yeah, no, she's got the chops.
Yes.
I think for the other two little girls, I want to say like Dakota and Elle Fanning.
Oh,
but like as children.
Kind of scary.
Yeah, kind of. There's a movie where they're both in it as children, but I can't remember.
Yeah, or Mary-Kate and Ashley.
Mary-Kate and Ashley.
I will say something that's kind of crazy is halfway through this year, this year, Abigail Williams just kind of like disappears off the record and no one knows what happened to her.
Abigail Williams, the 11-year-old girl.
Yes.
She just disappears.
Like, I don't know, like, she's just, there's no record of her past.
That's freaky.
Yeah.
Hate that.
Yeah, love that.
She went to Hogwarts. She got her letter. She got her Hogwarts letter. She went to Hogwarts, guys.
Abigail, did you put your name in the goblet of fire?
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, so Sarah Osbourne, Sarah Good, and Tituba are accused of witchcraft by the bewitched girls.
Rough.
Okay? Sarah Good, 39. She was a beggar woman who is currently pregnant.
Oh, no.
She is kind of awesome. Like, she's so awful, but to me, that makes her a queen, where she was constantly muttering and cursing people out in the middle of town. And people would take pity on her and be like, you can come and stay with us.
Yeah.
Stay in our house because you're like out on the streets and you're very, very poor. And then she would be so rancid as a presence in the house that they would then kick her out of the house. And she would constantly like curse children in town and be like, you guys are like, fuck you. I'm going to put a curse on you. So the kids were like, well, obviously.
Can I be so real?
Yeah.
Can I just be so real for a minute? How the fuck do you have people on the streets when you're like the village of Salem?
I know, but
how
the
do you
same
have a
could be
homeless
said.
Population?
But the same could be said from Toronto in the sense that it's like there are houses.
I agree 100%. But I'm like, what? Like, how many people lived here? Like 600 people, and you have a homeless population? Come on, guys.
I know. It's almost as if capitalism isn't the answer.
Oh my god, no! But I love capitalism.
I know. You're right. It can't be that.
Damn it.
So she was accused. And a lot of this. I mean, she was pregnant at the time. So keep note of that. She also has a daughter who later gets accused, and her daughter was 4 years old.
Okay.
Doesn't get killed, though. When I was reading the book, I was like, this 4-year-old is going to get hanged. But she doesn't.
Okay, thank God.
Just so people can enjoy this podcast.
Yeah, no 4-year-olds get hanged.
Sarah Osbourne was 49, and she was a rich woman who remarried. She was a widow, and she was widowed a couple of times, but she remarried and was in a dispute with the Putnams over inheritance because she was said to have swindled her husband's children from his previous marriage out of their inheritance because when he died, she was still alive, so she would inherit and the sons wouldn't inherit.
Yes.
How dare she?
Yeah.
So that's why Sarah Osbourne's in there. And Tituba was in her 40s, although no one knows because she was a slave, so there's not as many records on her. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's correct, just so we know. This is a woke podcast. I think that they should have known her correct age.
For sure.
She was 40s. She was the Paris's slave, and she was indigenous. So oftentimes she's portrayed as being black, but she is indigenous. And a lot of people, first of all, like the reason that she was probably like accused is it's account of race. She was also in the house of two of the girls who were accusing at the time.
Yeah.
There's also kind of people saying that maybe it was like, she was talking about indigenous folklore to the children and scared them. Or it's also possible, like, she was in charge of child rearing in a big way, and she could have just, like, disciplined them. And they're like, witch.
Yeah. Well, wasn't there also stuff, like, so apparently there are disputes about, like, what her actual ethnicity was.
Okay, love.
Because, yeah, a lot of the time she is portrayed as black, whereas also there's been said that she has, like, West Indies ancestry. Yeah. So she's... Like, people, there have been things that say that she practiced voodoo and stuff, and the girls saw it. But again, it's really, really hard to verify all these.
And also, mind
things.
your own fucking business.
Yeah, exactly.
If she wants to practice her voodoo, let her practice her voodoo.
Exactly. So she's such an interesting character. Someone recommended me a book on her.
She's really awesome, and she's very, very smart, which I think is interesting because she is the first person to admit to witchcraft in the town of Salem. And it's probably because she was like, well, I'm not going to get out of this. Like, there's no way I'm going to get out of this. But what I can do is make myself a very valuable witness and talk about all these things that happened and the fact that there are witches in town. And she was like, there's a lot of witches in the town of Salem and they're all secret. So she made herself, gave a crazy good testimony, really like told a story.
Yeah.
And everyone was on the edge of their seat. Another notable thing about Tituba that makes her fucking awesome is she's the only person who gave testimony who didn't implicate other people who weren't already accused.
That's crazy.
So she was like, there's lots of other witches in town, but the only two that I know are the two that are right here. Whereas everyone else past this point would be like, and my mom, and my neighbor. And so she's like playing 5D chess. She's Queen's Gambit chess on the ceiling. Like, she's like, well, I'm not going to implicate other people. She's awesome.
That's smart.
She's very, very smart.
Though.
On March 1st, Good, Osbourne, and Tituba are examined by the magistrates, Hathorne and Corin. So the magistrates, not lawyers, not a single lawyer present in Massachusetts.
They're just sort of guys.
They're guys with opinions.
And Jesus loves them.
Yes, and they do a big thing with spectral evidence that we'll talk about later that's really, really bad, where basically they set a precedent that one of the girls can just be like, I saw her, it was her phantom, and her phantom stabbed me. And they're like, sounds good enough to me.
I've gone in so much trouble over spectral evidence.
Just like no proof fucking period.
Yeah.
They're bad. They're really not good at their job. Like, they're really, really bad leading questions. Also, the girls got to be present for all of the fucking like examinations.
That's
so like
awesome.
they'd be like, oh, maybe she's not a witch, and they'd be like, because like these girls are terrified because as soon as this witchcraft accusation gets disproved, they lose all their clout and their attention, right? Like they need to hold on to this, basically.
It's crazy.
So they are examined by Hathorne and Corin. Hathorne is a descendant of Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Oh my God.
And they changed their name to Hawthorne to get away from basically being like known as one of the guys, like the descendants of one of the guys who did the Salem witch trials.
Oh my God.
Because like for 200 years after the witch trials, like nobody wanted to talk about it at all. It's a whole thing. We'll talk about that later. So Good and Osbourne maintain their innocence. I'm going to be using a lot of last names because the Puritans loved forenames. It's like you're Elizabeth, you are Sarah, you are Abigail, or you're Mary. Okay? That's it.
Good religious names.
Exactly. So they maintain their innocence. Tituba gives her iconic testimony. They are all sent to prison to await trial now. So basically the examinations are to investigate if the like accusations have any basis. Then you are sent to prison and then you await trial. Prison is really awful. Bad place.
We hate prison.
We hate prison.
We hate prison on this podcast.
We need to dismantle the prison.
No more prisons.
No more prison. And especially not in Salem.
No.
Okay.
No old-timey prisons.
So on March 3rd, so that happened on March 1st. On March 3rd, all of the afflicted claim to be cured besides Ann Putnam Jr.
Oh my God.
Okay. Abigail Breslin clocked in and is like, you think I'm giving up my attention?
This was crazy too, because if this started in January, you literally go through like 2 of the coldest months of the year being like, there's a bunch of witches. It's March, the weather starts getting better. The girls are like, actually, we're fine. And Anna's like, no, I'm on to something.
Well, and you know exactly the kind of girl Anne is, where it's like, there's just one friend in your group of friends when you're like a tween.
Won't give it up.
Yeah, who it's just like, you're like, let's just hang out. Like, it's even like her brother. Like, her parents are like, you have to hang out with your brother. You have to hang out with your brother. And you and your other friends don't really care. You're like, just let him hang out. Like, who cares? And she's like, no. And she acts insane. You're like, just let it go.
Or that friend who like gets in like a screaming match with their parents in front of you.
And
when
you're like,
just
let it. It's fine.
Like, what's going on?
It's okay. Like, and that's very Ann Putnam Jr. Where it seems to me like the other girls are like, because 2 months when you're 9 is a long time to care about something.
Oh yeah, that's such a large percentage of your life. Like, I don't think I held on to any information when I was 9 years old. Like, I would have
simply moved on. Yeah. But she's like, not. That's not what's going to happen here.
No, for sure the 9-year-old and the 11-year-old have like
can we just play dolls or whatever? Yeah. Like, I don't know.
They're on to like, where are we going for sad old-timey vacation this summer, Mom and Dad?
Exactly. Where are we going to sad old-timey vacation?
Yeah.
Perhaps Salem Village instead of Salem Town?
Yeah, perhaps Salem Swamp so we can go swimming and
in
tan.
The swamp? Yes.
In the swamp.
So on March 23rd, Rebecca Nurse, who is accused by Ann Putnam Jr., is arrested in her home. Now, Rebecca Nurse is 70, so this one's rough.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Come on.
She is beloved by the town. She is a midwife who delivered many babies in the town. Just truly beloved. I know. And she is notable not only because she ends up being one of the oldest women who's executed. Spoiler alert.
No, they execute the midwife? Dude, who's going to deliver the babies?
No one.
That sucks, dude. The babies are going to get stuck.
I know.
Man.
And that's why this is sad. No other reason.
Sorry, I was just thinking about the babies.
But also because there are several petitions from when she gets arrested to basically her death. There's several petitions by a great amount of the town to exonerate her because they know her to be an upstanding citizen.
Oh my God.
She's a pious church-going woman, of good social standing. Like this is a really whack accusation. I'll give you one guess as to why she was accused.
I bet. She had like a baby out of wedlock or something.
No, that's going to come in later, though. That's a big one. Okay. No, she, as with anybody who's about to get accused, had a disagreement with the Putnams.
Oh, okay. I went too far.
No, that's going to happen, though. Because but again,
that's a woman thing to do.
A disagreement with the Putnams kind of thing. So she gets arrested. She's in her bed. She missed church that week because she was sick and 70 in the 1600s.
Oh, my God. So Ann Putnam accuses her. Oh my God.
Bitch.
I bet they were like, she's not at church. She's doing what she spells.
That's exactly it, where she missed church, but she's like, I'm sick in bed. When she gets arrested, she says, I am innocent as the child unborn.
And she would know because she delivers the babies.
And life begins at conception.
Sorry, the snowplow went by and I got so distracted
My neighbor
like a
is
child.
walking into. They don't need to hear me talk about the Salem witch trials. Those need to be a thing. So that's what's really notable about Rebecca Nurse's arrest as well. There's a considerable amount of public outcry, and this divides the town basically the entire time. She is almost always the closest to get exonerated, to not going to trial, all these different things, because so many different ministers from different towns and other people go to bat for her. But the reason that they end up basically accusing her is because, like, if she's not a witch, then the whole thing, the House of Cards falls down.
Oh.
Kevin Spacey.
My God.
Okay. So on March 24th, the next day, Rebecca Nurse is examined and sent to prison. 70 years old, getting over a cold, sent to prison.
Not getting over a cold.
The
worst thing you can do is go to prison when you're trying to get over a cold.
So what happens is often one person accuses somebody of witchcraft, and then the others are like, oh yeah, me too. Same. So the Proctors we know from the Crucible and from culture. We're going to get into them later. They have a maid named Mary Warren who is 20. Ugh. She also testifies that Nurse bewitched her. This is going to come back later because Mary Warren is later accused of being a witch.
Mary Warren, what the hell, dude?
Yeah, so she testifies against Nurse, claiming that Warren bewitched her. The next day, John Proctor, 60 years old. So that's also whack and crazy because I feel like in every single piece of media, he's 32. He's 60 years old and his wife is 32. Iconic. No notes there. No notes there. No, it's Florence Pugh and Zach Braff.
Perfect.
Yeah, and he's 60, right?
It's hot, actually.
Do we have, who do we think Rebecca Nurse should be?
Oh, Rebecca Nurse. Oh, you know what? I kind of
70 years old.
I'm picturing her as Kathy Bates.
I love that
because also
Kathy Bates would kill this role.
On the mind, she'd kill the role.
She would love. She's great.
I think she's probably about 70 now.
I love her. So Kathy Bates as Rebecca Nurse and Mary Warren at 20. Who do we want? Who's at 20? We can have Rachel Zegler.
Rachel Zegler and Mary Warren. Is that big enough for Rachel Zegler? I want to respect Rachel Zegler.
I think if there's a younger, Rachel Zegler she gets a cup. Mary Warren is one of my favorites.
Okay,
she's
Rachel Zegler as Mary Warren.
Wild. Like, she doesn't have a super big part, but she acts in the way that a 20-year-old girl would act when presented with
Rachel Zegler as Mary Warren and Kathy Bates as Rebecca Nurse.
Yes.
I love that.
And who's John Proctor at 60?
John Proctor at 60? Ooh, Daniel Day-Lewis? Wasn't he in the
Jerry
Crucible?
Seinfeld? Is that the picture? Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld as John Proctor?
Yes!
You go with the young girlfriend?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Whoa, Rob.
Yeah, wife. Okay, so
Rob
Jerry
is
Seinfeld
playing chess and we're playing checkers.
Yeah, I know. What's the deal? What's the deal with the Salem witch trials? Is it a witch trial? It's in Salem's?
If we're trying all the witches, why can't I get in line?
Awesome. So it's Jerry Seinfeld.
As John Proctor.
So John
married
Proctor
to Rachel Zegler.
is at Ingersoll's Tavern. Now, this is the town tavern, and it's only notable because as soon as the prison gets too full, they start holding witches at the tavern because it's like an inn or whatever. So if you can hold out long enough, you can go and stay at the hotel and not the prison. It's kind of a notable thing. So John Proctor is talking to a friend loudly at the tavern about how he believes Mary Warren, his maid, to be lying. And that as soon as she accused Rebecca Nurse, he kept her at the weaving wheel and threatened physical violence.
Oh my God.
If she misbehaved again. So again, the baby girlification of John Proctor as well. Because him and another guy who are very much, and they get executed, so I get it. But they are very much like presented as like these noble men who care about these women and saving lives. They're just like, they're accused and they're being shitty, okay?
Yeah.
I threatened to beat my 20-year-old maid if she accused anybody again.
Which is really honorable.
Yes. So this obviously makes the girls mad because he's saying, because Mary Warren recanting her and saying, I'm not bewitched anymore, it makes a fool of them, basically, right?
That's rough.
So Mary Warren, again, because of the threatened physical violence of her employer, says, oh, I'm no longer bewitched. Just kidding. And what she does is she places a notice on the town message board thanking everybody for praying for her and that she is no longer bewitched.
Like kind of me on Animal Crossing when you
that's
could post things on the town board.
Imagine that. She literally did that. And also like this would so be me because this is what fucks her over. Like it's not that she is no longer bewitched. It's like she makes she tweets basically being like, hey guys, she posts a Notes app apology. So sorry, I'm not bewitched anymore. Just kidding.
Yeah, I've heard all of your
prayers and thoughts.
And thank you so much for sharing.
And because she did this publicly, there was a lot of leading questions in the next couple examinations by the magistrates of being like, did Mary Warren do anything? Because she's making a mockery of the proceedings by admitting that she wasn't bewitched.
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
They should have an Animal Crossing Salem witch trials where you can execute
I would play the
villagers.
fuck out of this.
That'd be awesome.
You can be like a magistrate.
Yeah. Tom Nook is John Proctor.
Yes. Okay, yes. Actually, Tom Nook is John Proctor.
Because you know what? The way he would yell at me when I didn't show up to work was like physical violence.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
So John Proctor is
Tom Nook.
Equal parts Tom Nook and Jerry Seinfeld. That's easy. Okay. On March 31st, so about 6 days later, a week later, Abigail Williams tells everybody that there was a massive witch feast in her backyard at the parish's house.
That's awesome.
With like hundreds of witches in attendance and the devil in attendance.
That's like people when they ask you like you did nothing all weekend. Someone's like, "What'd you do this weekend?"
There was
a huge party.
The devil was present.
Yeah, the devil was there. Actually, it was all my friends that you don't know them.
You don't know them. They go to a different school. They go to a different school, and the devil was there.
They go to a different school. They're all really into cool stuff.
There was a massive witch feast in her backyard, in the parish's backyard. The devil was present.
Mm-hmm. There was fingering.
There was fingering involved, obviously.
All the witches were fingering each other.
All the witches were fingering each other. How dare they? And
they were strap-hugging the devil.
The point of this was to make a mockery of the Last Supper. Tell me you've read one book in your life and that it's the Bible without telling me. She's like, oh yeah, that one thing I know.
Yeah, the Last Supper. That's awesome, except they're pegging the devil.
Exactly. Well, there is a big thing of like oftentimes like witches have familiars, right?
Yeah.
So if you had like flat sagging boobs, that was proof that you had milked your familiar earlier that day.
I'm going to start using that on people. See, your chest
flat
is
boobs.
flat.
Yeah.
You're milking your familiar.
And there was a queen of hell present at this, but she can't identify the queen of hell yet. The queen of hell is going to get identified. It's not going to end well for her. But
awesome. Okay, honestly, if I died because I got accused of being the queen of hell.
At least be the queen of hell. Like, you know what I mean? If you're going to get hanged for being a witch, you better get hanged for being the queen of hell. You know what I mean?
That's incredible. Abigail Breslin, you're crazy.
I know. She's there. And it's so funny, like, knowing now, obviously, like, things were bad back then. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so obviously just asking kids to make shit up.
Oh, yeah.
Where was this? Because there was no concern for, like, testimonies, like, you know what I mean? Like, I've been losing my words because I've been smoking a lot of weed lately.
Testimonies?
Like if my testimony makes your testimony not make sense anymore. Because like this feast in hell has not been mentioned at any point.
So who cleaned up after it?
We're 3 months into the Salem witch trials and the fucking feast is coming up now and nobody said anything about it.
If we had given Abigail Williams a pen, she would have written a great novel.
She would be fucking Mary Shelley.
Yeah, she'd be Mary Shelley.
She would be making Frankenstein, not murdering women.
Instead,
you know what I mean?
we gave her the Bible
and look what happened. Look how that turned out.
Imagine if we had given her Normal People by Sally Rooney.
Things would be a little
bit different.
But yeah, testimonies like disproved each other and went against each other, okay? 3 days later.
Contradicted is the word.
Contradicted is the word.
Sorry, it just came to me.
Amazing.
They contradicted each other.
3 days later, Abigail Williams claims that Elizabeth Proctor is bewitching her and still bewitching her, and it's bad. Elizabeth Proctor, Tom Nook's wife, she's 32. Should she be? What's the dog in Animal Crossing? It's like Abigail or some shit like that.
KK Slider.
KK Slider.
No. The blonde dog who gives the morning announcements.
Isabel?
Oh,
Isabel. Yeah, KK Slider will be coming up later.
Okay.
I have a feeling KK Slider is going to be the person who gets crushed to death.
So John Proctor, Jerry Seinfeld / Tom Nook,
yes,
is our casting for him, is married to Isabel, the dog that gives the morning announcements in Animal Crossing.
Yes.
This is our fan cast.
This is our fan cast.
Who was Rachel's name?
Mary Warren,
Rachel Zegler
their
is
maid
the
/
maid.
servant.
/servant.
And we're going to give her a song. We're going to give her a song.
I've been staring at the wedge of the water.
I love that.
Rachel Zegler / Moana works for Tom Nook / Jerry Seinfeld.
So Elizabeth Proctor is accused, and this is possibly, again, in retaliation for John Proctor saying that he basically, like, it's not, he doesn't believe the girls and that Mary Warren was lying and all that stuff. Okay. So this is, so now Elizabeth Proctor is accused kind of as like punishment for that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
On April 11th, which is, let me do the math here.
What
9 days later. It's April 2nd to April 11th. 9 days later.
9 days. There you go.
Elizabeth Proctor, John Proctor, and Sarah Cloyce are arrested, okay, for being witches. So Sarah Cloyce.
John Proctor's arrested. No.
First man. Nevertheless, he persisted, breaking the glass ceiling on being accused as a witch.
Wow.
So Sarah Cloyce is 60 years old, and she's Rebecca Nurse's sister. So she's
come on.
No.
Come on.
So she's Kathy Bates' sister. So they're all examined. Everybody basically gets examined and then gets arrested. That's kind of a rule of thumb. Like, these examinations are not.
They're nothing.
they're, you know. Mary Warren accuses the Proctors of being witches in, like, she testifies against them.
Family.
And you know what? Like, I obviously don't think you should accuse somebody of witches, of being a witch. I don't think you should accuse your employer of being a witch. But if your employer who you live with also beats the fuck out of you.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Do what you got to do.
I stand with Rachel Zegler.
Exactly. I stand with Mary Warren and her choices.
Yeah.
But then after they get arrested, she recants this and says that all the other girls are lying as well.
Mary Warren says this?
Yes.
Girl, she's all over the place.
And then she takes that back again. Which, like, and that's why I love her in a way, because it's like, that is a 20-year-old girl.
Oh, yeah,
like,
for
never mind. No, wait, never mind.
Yeah.
I never said that. That's like me when I gossip and somebody's like, did you say this? And I was like, I never said that.
I wouldn't say that.
No, I never said that the other girls were lying.
That's actually just not even something that I would say.
No,
like,
because it's like not even like in my voice. Like, I would never say that like the other girls were like, because why would I say that? Because you're my best friend.
It's actually not.
I would never do that to other women.
It's not words I use. It's not things I say, and it's not people I talk to about stuff like that.
It's her. That's literally
it's actually not me.
It's actually kind of fucked up. No, it's funny. It's funny. No, it's actually fun. It's actually laughable. Like, I'm laughing.
It's actually funny because like it's funny to me because I just know myself so well, and I wouldn't do that.
And I know, yeah. Okay, 3 days later, Mercy Lewis, who is another servant.
But she didn't get any mercy. Sorry.
Jerry Seinfeld. So she's a servant to the Putnams, okay, 17 years old, and she was formerly the servant of George Burroughs, who was Salem's old minister, okay? He's going to come back in later. She's 17, and she claims that Giles Corey appeared to her and tried to get her to sign the devil's book. This is a big thing that witches did.
They tried to
get you to sign the devil's book.
Okay.
Okay?
And who's Giles Corey? Sorry.
He's going to come up. He's the guy who goes, more weight.
Oh, awesome.
He gets crushed by rocks. He's the only man in North America to ever die by being crushed to death as an execution.
Wow.
Surely somebody got crushed to death by accident.
Someone got crushed differently, but not on purpose.
He's 80 years old, and the reason that he was probably accused is that his wife was accused of witchcraft before this. These are the main players. Like, in between this, lots of other people are getting accused, but these are like the notable ones. His wife was accused. And he testified against her, saying, yeah, she is a witch. But then he took it back. And because he perjured himself, then he got accused.
Wow.
It's a real mess in Salem.
Wow.
Like, it's a real mess in Salem right now.
This is a mess. This is like Ask FM.
No, we're in the trenches of Ask FM. Salem, Massachusetts is the Ask FM of the 1600s.
Anything. Ask me anything.
Well, not that. Not that.
That's not that.
Not that. Actually, not that.
Not that.
So Mercy Lewis right now is connected to the Putnams, again, like just like the Rancid family where all of this shit is coming out of. Anne Putnam Sr. is the first adult woman to start being afflicted too. Just a hot mess coming out of this family.
So the Putnams are just a mess and at the center
of a lot of this.
Of a lot of this.
And she also witnessed a lot of severe trauma during the war. Her brother was scalped in front of her, things like that.
Who is this?
Mercy Lewis.
Mercy Lewis. That's
very,
rough.
very, very traumatized.
That's rough.
And there is like kind of interesting things that we'll talk about later. How traumatized you are correlates to what the witches like did to you, because it's like your experience. Like Mercy Lewis has experienced way more than like 9-year-old Betty Paris. So like Betty Paris is like, she poked me with a pin. And like Mercy Lewis is like, they're scalping people. There's lots of blood. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
That's PTSD.
Yes.
Rough.
So 4 days later on April 18th, Abigail Hobbs, Bridget Bishop, Mary Warren, and Giles Corey are arrested. So Mary Warren, Proctor's maid, is arrested for witchcraft.
Rachel Zegler is arrested.
Rachel Zegler arrested. Giles Corey, arrested. Who's he? He's an 80-year-old man. Who, like, we can give him to like an actor who can really cook.
Donald Sutherland.
Is he 80?
Probably.
What are the vibes of this guy?
He was put on trial once for murdering a servant. So again, a lot of these guys are not like good guys. So in my brain, he's like kind of like a brute a bit.
Donald Sutherland's 88. My mind went to John Lithgow for some reason.
Who's that?
John Lithgow, Third Rock from the Sun.
Not really a reference I'm gonna watch.
Dexter. We'll edit this out if this
heard
doesn't
that
go
name,
anywhere.
but
What's like a male actor in his 80s looks like a little cue ball? Like who's like round and bald?
That guy. Round and bald. What about the guy who played Filch in Harry Potter?
A cue ball looking guy, like Jim Broadbent.
Who's that?
Oh, Jim Broadbent.
Horse Slughorn.
I think we're getting closer with something like that.
I'll think.
We'll come back to this.
We'll come back.
Submit your casts below.
Yes, submit your casts.
So, yes, the Proctor's maid is arrested. Giles Corey is arrested. He's gonna get crushed to death later.
Rough.
Abigail Hobbs and Bridget Bishop are arrested. Abigail Hobbs is the first person not from Salem to be accused and arrested. She's from the next town over. She's 16 years old and she's a bad girl, and she immediately admits to being a witch. It's like, yeah, I am a fucking witch. What about it?
Oh, I love her.
I love her already. She also implicates her mother. Like, she's just kind of a mess. I love her.
She's
so,
a bad
16-year-old girl. Who are we going to give this to?
I'm picturing Sabrina Carpenter, even though I know she's not 16.
But yeah, that vibe. Let's do Sabrina Carpenter.
Like
Abigail Hobbs is Sabrina Carpenter. She's going, this song catchier than chicken poxes. I just got accused of being a witch. That's Sabrina Carpenter. And Bridget Bishop is 60 years old. And she owns the tavern with her husband.
Oh, and not the tavern.
She had previous accusations of witchcraft against her. When her second husband died, she was accused of bewitching him to death.
Okay.
So that's not, you don't really want that in a situation like this.
That's rough. That's tough stuff to go into.
You don't want, you really, like, I will say with the foresight of knowing each person who dies, you do not want to go into this saying that you are not a witch. Because if you admit to witchcraft, you will not be executed. And if you do not admit to witchcraft, and you have previous accusations of witchcraft, not looking good for you.
Yeah, that's rough.
In the defense of people who did not admit to witchcraft as well. First of all, they weren't witches. So there's that. The second thing is, like, previous to this, the precedent was actually the reverse of, like, if you admitted to witchcraft, you were way more likely to be hanged than if you didn't. So they're just following precedent.
So they just kind of like Uno Reverso this entire process.
Yes, exactly.
And we're like, guess what we're going to do next, bitch?
Never mind.
Okay, love that.
Yes. So they're all arrested. In 2 days, they are examined and set to prison. Hobbs admits to witchcraft, but the others do not admit to witchcraft. Okay. She implicates in her testimony Sabrina Carpenter, John Proctor, Tom Nook, Giles Corey, to be cast, and George Burroughs alongside her mother. George Burroughs is the former minister of Salem. How old is he? I did say his name at some point.
I imagine his
age. He's younger. He's kind of crazy young. Like, for what you would expect. I think he's like 42. Like, you would think he would be much older, but he's not.
Yeah, but he's kind of
So I feel like we can get some sex appeal in here. Somebody who's 42.
Nobody says sex appeal. I pictured Adam Scott.
Let's do it. Okay, Adam Scott is George Burroughs, the former minister of Salem.
So Adam Scott from Severance and Parks and Recreation.
Yes.
And
Madam Web.
And is he a Madam? Oh, he's Madam Web.
For 1 second.
Okay, he's in Madam Web.
So she implicates people who've already been accused besides George Burroughs, who has not yet been accused.
Okay.
On May 4th, George Burroughs is arrested in Maine, where he lives. So they go to the Maine border and they arrest him, which fucking sucks.
Okay.
You hate that.
You think you'd be safe in Maine?
You would think. Because the whole time I was reading this book, I was like, I would simply move.
But no, they'll find you. They'll find you in Maine.
He is examined and sent to jail in Boston on May 9th.
Rough.
On May 10th, Sarah Osbourne, who was one of the first women accused, she was the widow who swindled like the Putnam sons out of their inheritance.
Yes.
She dies in prison.
No.
Yes. So she is canonically the first actual casualty of the Salem witch trials.
Is she the one who was beloved?
No, that's Rebecca Nurse.
That's Rebecca Nurse. Okay, so Sarah Good's just a...
Osbourne. Sorry,
Sarah Osbourne.
Again, the names are the same.
Sarah Osbourne
Sarah Good
is
the beggar woman who's kind of got a rancid personality who we love more than anything. Sarah Osbourne was a widow who
swindled
beefed with the Putnams.
Yeah, so she was beefing. She dies in prison. That's rough.
Yes.
Oh, rough.
On June 8th, so we're skipping a full month ahead.
We skipped my birthday.
Sorry.
It's fine. Whatever.
So in this time, the court, there's like a court called like the Court of blah, 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 an Oyster. We're going to call it the Court of Oyster as of right now.
Court of Oyster.
And it's basically this is created to indict and actually get the witches to be sentenced to death.
Oh my God. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Sick.
So the first person who is tried and sentenced to death is Bridget Bishop.
Oh no.
The woman who had previous accusations of witchcraft against her and who is a widow. Okay.
Rough.
So they, on 2 days later, on June 10th, Bridget Bishop is executed by hanging.
Oh my God.
And she uses her last words to maintain her innocence. May she rest. Good for her.
Good for her. Rest in peace, queen.
Okay. 20 days later, on June 30th, Sarah Good, the beggar woman.
Okay.
Elizabeth Howe, who we haven't met yet, who's 56, Susanna Martin, who's 70, and Sarah Wilds, who's 65, are all tried and sentenced to death as well.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, so we've got 4 now. So we've already killed 1. We're going to sentence 4 more.
Rough.
So Susanna Martin, I tried to, if they had anything of note to kind of mention, I would mention it, but some of them really, because it's the old days, like there's no records. There's not like a lot to say.
No, not
Susanna
a lot to say.
Martin was also a widow, and she was destitute. And she was entrenched in inheritance battles, as you will.
Ugh. Okay, rough.
Sarah Wilds was a target because she was very glamorous, and she was charged in 1663 with wearing a silk scarf.
As
the crime,
and because they're what the fuck is the material? What's a silk scarf gonna do for you?
Crime. She's the fashion police tried her.
Yeah, more like the fashion police are sentencing you to death by hanging for witchcraft.
So they are all tried and sentenced to hanging.
Okay. Due to fashion crimes.
Yeah, due to crimes again.
Imagine that's what we uncover in this podcast. That
it's all due to fashion crimes.
Due to like they were all just dressing bad.
Yes, yes. On this day, also Rebecca Nurse, the midwife, the 70-year-old woman who the town loves, is also tried.
Okay. Ugh.
First, Nurse is found not guilty by the jury.
I don't like that lead up. At first, it's all good.
And then everybody in the courtroom has an outcry when she's found not guilty. So then the judges are like, did you really fully consider all of the evidence? I think you should go and consider all of the evidence again. And then they find her guilty and she's sentenced to death. Yes.
Oh, come on. Also, what? What? Come on.
It's crazy.
I'm so mad.
It's really, really insane.
I'm so mad about Rebecca Nurse. Kathy Bates, you deserve better.
She would eat in this role, though. Like, she would kill it. So the damning piece of evidence that they reconsidered is that Nurse was partially deaf. Okay. And the evidence that they used to convict her. Yes. And it's the 1600s.
Oh my God.
Surely she got scarlet fever, right?
Okay.
And when they were asking her some of the questions in her cross-examination or whatever, she couldn't hear all of the questions on account of being partially deaf.
Yeah, no shit.
But that was argued to be that she couldn't hear the questions because the devil was whispering in her ear.
Well,
and with evidence like that.
To be fair, that would make me change my opinion
exactly.
Too, because the devil does do that.
So they were all sentenced to death.
That's to be fair.
Wild.
To be fair, that's why I can't hear the haters.
Yeah, because I'm too busy having the devil whisper
in my
ear.
whispering in my ear, and I can't hear the haters. Of hell. Yeah.
Okay, so that was June 30th. We're going to July 19th, baby. Couple of days before my birthday.
Yeah, it's almost your birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. So Sarah Good, beggar woman, Elizabeth Howe, who I can't find any information on. Susanna Martin, the destitute widow in inheritance battles, and Sarah Wilds, silk scarf baddie, alongside Rebecca Nurse, are executed by hanging.
Silk, my scarf, That's how it feels.
I'm getting executed. So, as she's going to the gallows, Sarah Good, who's like known for cursing people out and whatever, she uses her last words to curse the present reverend, because the reverend's like, don't you want to admit to being a witch? Because then you'll at least still go to heaven, because if you admit to being a witch, even though you'll die, you'll go to heaven. So she curses him out, and she says, you are a liar. I am no more a witch than you are a wizard. And if you take my life, God will give you blood to drink. And when the Reverend dies later in his life, he dies from hemorrhaging at the mouth.
Oh my God.
So she cursed him.
That is so iconic.
Isn't that iconic?
That's so iconic.
She's awesome. I love her.
I hope she's Queen of Hell. I hope she gets to eat good at the witch's dinner.
Who's Queen of Hell? Yes. And Sarah Good also had a child in prison named Mercy, who died before this execution as well. Because it's a baby in jail.
Yeah, for sure. Not a great environment for a baby. Just like Leighton Meester.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't die in prison.
She lived, but she was
lived.
She was
That's
born
really
in prison.
wild.
Yeah.
On August, what was her mother imprisoned for?
Drug trafficking.
That
I really know this.
Yeah. That sucks. On August 5th, so that was July 19th. On August 5th, George Burroughs, minister of Salem.
Yes.
George Jacobs Sr., who is 83 years old.
Oh, God.
John Proctor and Elizabeth Proctor.
Okay.
And John Willard, who's 35, are sentenced to death.
Oh, come on.
Now, Elizabeth Proctor is granted a temporary stay of her execution because she's pregnant.
Okay.
So until you'll be executed after you have your baby, but until you have your baby, they're not going to execute you with the baby.
Isabel, the dog that does the morning announcements on Animal
pregnant
Crossing,
with Leighton Meester.
Pregnant with Leighton Meester.
Yes.
And is not...
Doesn't have to get executed yet.
Doesn't have to get executed yet.
Now, George Jacobs Sr., who's 83, the kind of thing of note is that his granddaughter accused him. Which is kind of wild.
Come on.
And she's also an accused witch at this time. John Willard, who's 35, he was a servant. Oh, no, he wasn't a servant. Sorry, I said he was serving as constable, which is a funny way to frame that, as if he's serving as constable.
Serving.
He was the constable in Salem.
Okay.
And in the beginning, when they were accusing several people of being witches, he refused to sign arrest warrants after a certain point because it was getting out of hand. He was like, this is ridiculous. I'm not signing arrest warrants. So they accused him as a witch and then sentenced him to death.
That's kind of awesome.
Iconic.
That's so cool.
Notably, one other person is sentenced to death.
Okay.
On August 5th. Okay. And that is Martha Carrier, 72. Queen of Hell.
Oh, yes. Martha Carrier.
And the reason that she was probably accused of being the Queen of Hell is because when they asked her what she thought, like why she was being accused, she's like, because the accusers were insane and wrong. Which is just really awesome.
Can I cast her?
Yes. 72.
Patti LuPone.
Oh, love that.
Patti LuPone, Queen of Hell.
Yes, Queen of Hell. And then we can have Sarah Good be Aubrey Plaza.
Yes. Yeah, I like that.
Because she would really, she would curse. She would do really well.
Yeah, she'd be like, I'm no more a witch than you are a wizard.
Yes.
God.
Who do we want to cast as Tituba in her 40s?
Tituba in her 40s? Ooh. That's rough. Also, because we don't know
her ethnicity. I know. We'll come back to that.
But
we'll do some more research if we want to.
Would eat, you know? Like I feel like a Tracy Ellis Ross.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is the role. You know what I mean? That is the role.
I want like a comedian.
Yes.
Doing Tituba. Or someone who has like a lot of charisma at least, you know?
Like Nicole Byers would be really good.
Yeah.
But we don't know. We'll come back to Tituba's ethnicity.
Yeah, we'll come back.
More. I mean, nobody knows, but it feels insane to be like, we're going to make a unilateral decial.
I think we should have like a reality show that's like when they were trying to find
Tituba's ethnicity.
Yeah, well, the girl could play, you know, like when they did like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, or they tried to find the next Dorothy.
We're gonna find the next Tituba.
Let's
make it happen. It's like the search for Elle Woods.
Yes, yeah, that's the bigger show I was trying to reference.
Yeah. Okay, so Martha Carey also are also sentenced to death on this day.
Rough.
On August 19th, John Proctor, George Burroughs, the former minister of Salem, George Jacobs Sr., accused by his granddaughter, John Willard, former constable,
Jesus,
and Martha Carrier, Queen of Hell, are all hanged.
Rest in peace, Patti LuPone.
Now, here's a really awesome thing that Adam Scott, George Burroughs, does.
Okay.
So a big thing that's kind of strange when you think about it, that they used in the examinations to get sent to figure out if you're a witch or not, is you have to be able to recite the entire Lord's Prayer without stumbling.
Like Our Father?
Yeah, who art in heaven. But it's in their defense, when I was like, I can fucking do that. And then you're like, hallowed? hollowed. Like you have to say, do you know what I mean? Like it's like
because it's all old timey language.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So not one person out of the 200 accused was able to do it, which is wild.
Sounds like something my Catholic elementary school would do to like shame children.
Yeah, no,
not a single one
prayer.
of you
can recite the Lord's Prayer.
Recite it. It's actually crazy that not a single one of you can do it.
Wow.
You know who could do it? Jesus Christ.
Probably.
And his disciples.
Give him the mic.
Give him the mic.
So, and George Burroughs couldn't do it in his examination, even though he was a former minister.
Oh my God. Okay.
But on the gallows, before he is hanged, he gets to the top of the ladder, recites it in full, and then jumps off the ladder and hangs himself.
Oh my God.
So that beast...
That's
a mic drop. He's like,
awesome.
So I'm a witch. Well, what about this?
What about this?
Bye.
But at that point, it's like, yeah, you're done. You know what I mean?
He had so long to practice that in prison.
Yeah, he really did.
He's like, well,
I'm going to get it right.
Adam Scott.
I'd also just be so mad. I'd be like, yeah, at this point, like, let me.
Oh, Sarah Good, cursing everyone. I get that. I'd be like, if the Reverend was like, why don't you admit your sins? I'd be like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, like I don't care. I hate you.
It's like that paparazzi video with Kanye where the paparazzi's like, good morning, Kanye. And he goes, shut the fuck up. That would be me. They'd be like, good morning. And I'd be like, shut the fuck up.
No, leave me alone.
Yeah.
I'm going to my death right now.
And like people would obviously like these hangings were very public. They would be like, basically like they would be like on a carriage brought to the gallows.
Ugh, rough.
And people would like see them and attack them. Also, they were in horrible condition because they'd been in prison for an incredibly long time and the prison was awful. Rough. Bad things all around.
Let's do a rough count for this episode.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, ugh.
Uh-oh.
So that's on August 19th.
Okay.
My dad's
birthday.
Awesome. Happy birthday to your dad.
Happy birthday.
On August 19th, George Jacob Sr. is hanged. We know this, okay? Because he was with all the other ones. He was with George Burroughs doing his mic drop moment. On August 20th, Margaret Jacobs, his granddaughter, recants her testimony against him. So,
oh my God,
better late than never, I guess.
Oh my God. Okay, disgusting.
Couldn't have done it. Yeah,
disgusting.
I know. Really not great. And she also recants her testimony against George Burroughs, the former minister of Salem, but he's also dead. So
cue JoJo too little too late.
Very too little too late. It's like I genuinely wonder. I'm sure that there's like we could look this up for the more in-depth timeline, but like, bitch, why now?
Yeah.
What happened?
Did your period end?
Like what? Blair!
Sorry. Sorry. It's a joke. I don't believe it.
It's a fucking joke.
I don't believe it. The moon changed. That's what it was. There was a full moon. There was a new moon, a new beginning.
She was in her Lyttle phase.
Yeah, she was.
I keep losing hair recently. Like, I think it's because it's like, it's January. It always happens. But I keep like joking. I'll be like, there's so much fucking hair. I'm losing so much hair. I guess I'm in my Lyttle phase. Just like nothing. So that happened on August 20th. On September 9th, we're in the fall, beautiful autumn day.
Beautiful.
Mary Bradbury of 77. Martha Corey, Giles Corey's wife, 72. Mary Easty, 58. Dorcas Hoare of 60. Alice Parker, 55. And Anne Pudeator in her 70s are all sentenced to hang.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's not looking great.
Well,
Mary Bradbury evades her hanging date long enough for the trials to end, which is kind of good. Like
iconic.
Yeah, because she's like, oh, I've been talking to reverends and I really want to repent before I hang. So can I repent for a bit? Awesome.
Not a bad strategy.
Martha Corey, Giles Corey's wife, was accused because she had a baby of mixed race from a previous marriage.
Okay, that's rough.
His name was Benoni. And he lived in the town. So everyone in the town knew about Benoni.
The baby?
Yeah, he was around. Like he wasn't a baby anymore because he's a former marriage. She's in her 70s.
Okay. I guess he's grew up.
So that's partially why she was, again, like there's like gossip is a lot of like why you get accused. You wear a silk scarf or you have a baby of mixed race from another marriage and you're being sentenced to hang.
Yeah, that's okay.
Mary Easty
that's just insane.
Was before being sentenced to hang when she was just in Salem prison. She was released from prison because they found something happened. Like they found that her evidence against her wasn't real. But then Mercy accused her again and she went back to jail and got sentenced to hang. These girls.
My God.
And Pudeator, I don't know, and Pudeator. She was a nurse and a midwife, so she was probably accused on account of being a midwife.
They probably just hated them because they'd seen too many vaginas.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, they were doing that Matt Rife thing where they were like,
it's an outie vagina.
Yeah, they were being mean to women with outie vaginas.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then on September 17th, I'm just going to list all these names.
My sister's birthday.
Because people are getting sentenced to hang like you wouldn't believe at this point.
Yeah.
Rebecca Ames, Abigail Faulkner, Ann Forrester, Abigail Hobbs, Bad Girl, Sabrina Carpenter, Mary Lacey, Mary Parker, Wilmot Red, Margaret Scott, and Samuel Wardwell are all sentenced to hang.
Oh my God. Sounds like you're doing La Vie Boheme when you're writing all those names.
Like Rebecca Ames, Abigail Faulkner, Ann Forrester, just like a list, bitch.
That's crazy.
Prior to this, they tried to get Giles Corey to stand trial, and this is the trial to figure out if you're going to be sentenced to hang or not.
Oh my
and
God,
he refused to plead. So they brought him in, and they're like, "How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?" And he was like, "You know that clip of Justin Bieber when he's in court, and he goes, you know what? Guess what? Guess what? I don't recall." That's Giles Corey. Like, he's like, I don't recall. So because he refuses to plead and makes a mockery of the court, he is sentenced to be crushed to death.
That's crazy. I like that they're just like, we don't like what you did, so we're just going to give you a worse
that's just
death.
like not how law works.
Yeah.
Like, you simply can't just be like, well, you didn't follow the rules, so now
we're going to crush you.
We're going to crush you.
We're going to crush you, actually. We were going to be nice and hang you before. Now we're going to crush you.
So from September 17th to September 19th, Corey is pressed to death under heavy stones.
I'm pressed to death every time I see family.
You feel good about that? A man has died, Blair.
I'm sorry.
A man has died.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to add fun and cheer to the murders.
Into a horrible, horrific. I know. So yeah, and they keep adding. This is the whole thing. Like in the Crucible, he's known for going more weight because it's like a slow, awful death, and it's like
that's
put
too
more
bad.
rocks on me, please let me die. And it's speculated that the reason he tried to avoid being like tried is because if he was not found guilty, then his estate could not be seized by the government and his sons could inherit it.
That's smart.
I don't know if that's like, I don't know if that's true.
But that would make sense within this world of like everyone's really worried about their land.
Yeah, exactly. The land is everything.
Yeah.
On September 18th, next day, Abigail Faulkner Sr. is convicted of witchcraft, but her hanging is delayed because she's pregnant as well. You really want to try and get pregnant.
Yeah, that's smart.
If you can.
Get pregnant, ladies, while you still can.
On September 22nd, the last hanging of the Salem witch trials occurs. So all those people have been sentenced to hang, but they have not hanged yet.
Oh my God. Okay.
So Martha Corey, Giles Corey's widow.
Yes.
Sentenced is hanged today.
Come on.
Margaret Scott, who is 76, sentenced to hang. We don't really know anything specific about her. Mary Easty, who is the sister of Rebecca Nurse and Sarah Cloyce, sentenced to hang and hangs today. Alice Parker, Ann Pudater, the midwife, Wilmot Red, and Samuel Wardwell, who's 49, along with Mary Parker, all hanged that day. So how many people is that? 5, 6, 7, 8 people.
That's insane.
Yes.
These people need hobbies.
Yes. Truly. Of course, Dorcas Hoare, who was also accused of the same thing where she was like, she evaded her trial date long enough to not be hanged today. Fighting for her life with that name.
Can you
imagine?
Imagine
on the schoolyard, you would not live a day. You're a dork and a whore?
Can you imagine having
the name
a beautiful
Dorcas,
baby girl
going, I think this is Dorcas Hoare.
Dorcas Hoare.
I kind of love the name Dorcas.
Dorcas? I like it too, actually. Dorcas.
It's funny. And
Dorcas.
I like it. So she does the same.
She
she's granted a temporary stay of execution this day, so she can make a confession to God.
Okay.
And this is the last execution of this before the trial is the like Salem witch trials are disbanded.
Okay.
So she escapes execution basically.
Good for her.
On October,
go Dorcas.
Go Dorcas Hoare.
Go Dorcas Hoare.
On October 29th, Governor Phipps disbands the court of Oyer and Terminer.
And that's the court that was accusing everyone of being witches.
So the Salem witch trials is fundamentally over.
Wow.
People have to get like released from prison and all these things, but that's basically the end of it.
That's nuts.
It's kind of crazy.
So that whole timeline was like, what, like a year?
Yeah, that's from October. That's from January to October of the same year.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like, imagine like, it's not even just like at this point prior, I believe only one witch had been hanged in Massachusetts. And then you're going from that to having like 8 hangings a day.
That's nuts.
And nobody's like, that seems kind of crazy.
That's also just like such a whirlwind. Like you could go away to college, come back,
and be like, "What the fuck happened?"
Be like,
well, that's what they say. Like people like would leave because it's the old times. So it's like, you could just like you had to go to England. Like the governor was gone for a lot of this because he was in England being like appointed governor of Massachusetts by the king or whatever. I guess. Oh my god! Right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Would have been the king. Yeah, it was before the revolution.
Yeah. So comes back, and is like, "What the fuck is happening?"
What are you guys doing?
You can just leave and come back and be like, what?
It's like when you're out of touch with like a friend group for a while and you come back and like
it's like when you fall asleep and the group chat goes to fucking shreds.
Yeah.
And you wake up and you're like 95 new messages.
Yeah, it's just like, what are you guys talking about?
You guys hanged fucking 20 people?
Yeah, like what are you talking about?
Yeah.
No, that's truly like, that's shocking.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
So like as we go through the season, like we have a couple of episodes where we're going to focus specifically on like key players like Rebecca Nurse and go more in depth because there's just like a lot of names. This is like a lot of information off the top. So we're going to go more in depth on specific parts, on specific people, the proctors and that kind of thing. Yeah. Just wanted to give you an overview and we're going to do a very in-depth overview.
Yes.
In a different episode as well. Talk about conspiracy theories.
Oh yeah.
Common misconceptions.
There's a lot of misconceptions.
Yeah.
We're also going to go into like a general broader like history and kind of like societal implications of stuff that has happened.
Yes.
So
love it.
We're so excited for
that's
this
the Salem Witch
Trials. Thank you for that recap, Carly. I really enjoyed that. That was crazy.
It was so much information.
I know, but you know what? Honestly, if anyone is feeling like that was a lot of information, know that it won't feel like that eventually.
Exactly. You're learning all of it right now.
Yes.
And once you know it, then it'll just be iconic. Also, like, don't get too worried about the names. Like, well, you know what I mean?
No,
it's fine.
The names don't matter as much as vibes.
Yes.
And also, like,
and
that's why we're girl historians now, because we're kind of 50% just being girls hanging out and 50% being historians.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited to unravel all this absolute nonsense.
Yeah, baby. Do you know what time it is, Blair?
Oh my God, is it time?
Yes.
Okay, ready.
Let's make this tragedy about us. Oh, it's the time of the podcast where we take a break from discussing the horrible murders of many, many women, and we just want to make the tragedy about us.
Yeah, we want to talk about ourselves because it's more fun than talking about tragedies that happen to other people.
Yes. So
Amazing.
Blair.
Yes.
This was kind of what we were talking about a little bit before.
Okay.
I think it's very common when you are learning about the Salem witch trials in the very beginning to be like, oh my God, I'd be so accused of being a witch.
Mm-hmm.
But who would you be in the Salem witch trials? Would you be an accused witch? Would you be an accuser? Where do you think you fall into this equation?
I want to, precurse this answer with, I think that my opinion might change
as we go
along.
Yes.
But first of all, I think it would really depend on age. Because if I were a little kid, I actually don't think I would have been an accuser at all, just in the way that I was so timid.
Too shy.
But if I was talking about now, I honestly think I would have flown under the radar. I don't really think I necessarily would have been accusing or getting accused.
Massive. Those are famous last words.
I know.
I think I'll actually probably fly under the radar.
This is why I think my answer
John
is
Proctor
gonna
be
change.
Yeah, probably fly. I'll probably be fine. Nothing bad will happen.
Because I think it's just it's hard to answer because I feel like there could be something
there's so
that
many
I learned
specific
along
details.
the way.
I agree.
But that's my gut is that
I agree with you.
I don't think I'm scandalous enough to get accused of being a witch. But I also don't think I would have necessarily been an accuser because also I'm getting the vibe that the accusers were kind of the popular girls and I wasn't the popular girl.
Yes, I agree. I think that if I was a child, I would not be an accuser. I think a teen or a servant at the age of 19, 20, things might have been said. I feel like I can understand being 19 is already hell and I wasn't 19 in the 1600s and a servant to an abusive.
That's why
I didn't witness my brother getting scalped.
I think Mary Warren, I
identify with.
I get see that.
I get
I'm
that.
Your life sucks.
There's truth
You're
there.
so traumatized. Yeah, I would be
there is I identify with that. Yeah, I agree. And then I think I would definitely get accused of being a witch just because as you go along, people, you can get accused for nothing.
Yeah.
Those were the main players, but some people they were just it'd be I'd be on the stand and I'd be they were who are you with? And I was like, Blair. And then they're like, you're a witch. But I don't think I would have been hanged because I would immediately crumble.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm a witch and I'm so sorry. I don't know. Somebody made me do it and I didn't even mean to do it and I hated it. And yeah, maybe I was at that massive feast for hell and the devil was there, but I didn't like it. Like, I would just have crumbled immediately.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I do feel
the Abigail Hobbs of it all, of being like, yeah, I am a witch.
This is why I feel like my opinion's going to change, because also people will always just tell me things. Like, I end up with so much gossip because people will just tell me like something that I have no business knowing. Yeah. And so I'm like, if I'm in Salem witch trials and I know everyone's business.
So like, we need to get Blair out of the equation.
Yeah, like I'm just like, for sure I think someone would want to take me out because I just know too much.
I feel that too, because I do have a tendency. People don't tell me things the way they tell you things, but I am drawn to emotionally damaged people. Yes. I really want to rehabilitate people who are severely traumatized.
Yes.
And then it feels like we have a falling out. I'm immediately accused of a witch. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I would be friends with people I would be friends with like fucking Ann Putnam Jr. Like, you know what I mean? Like somebody who's at the front lines accusing people.
Yes.
And I wouldn't text her back fast enough.
Yes.
And then I would be fucking at the gallows the next month. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do get that. That's why I'm like, I feel like I want to revisit this question.
Yes.
At the
But it's
end.
like really bad. Like even being like at the prison is awful. Like it's just
that's a nightmare.
Bad.
That sucks.
Yes.
That really sucks.
I also feel like I need to know, like Abigail Hobbs, who did admit to being a witch, I believe she walked it back and that's why she was sentenced to hang but didn't hang.
Whoa.
Because nobody ended up being hanged. This feels so wrong, it should be hung, but I know it's hanged.
Hanged.
Nobody ended up being hanged that admitted to being a witch.
Wow. That's crazy.
But it's wild. Like we'll go into like the aftermath because I really do want to talk about the Salem witch trials, kind of like industrial complex of it all.
Yeah.
Because like it's like all the tourism in Salem and crazy shit like that.
And that will be in
we're going to do an episode on that. On just like witch tourism and like witch capitalism in a weird way. Like the witch industry, the knick-knack industry alone.
Even like
but like one of these women who was hanged like did not get exonerated from her witch like accusations until like 2001. Like crazy shit like that.
The post 9/11.
They were like, we forgive. We're ready to forgive and forget. But it's like 2001 should not be when those accusations are wiped off somebody's record. No, that's fucking whack.
Crazy.
When your death is your death is the whole reason the town gets any industry.
Yeah.
You're welcome, bitch.
I'd haunt that town so bad.
Oh, it's not even funny.
We should go to Salem.
I think we should. I really think that we should.
I'm getting my passport. Well, I'm going to apply for my passport tomorrow.
Where?
But that's a good thing.
I know, and it's taken you so long.
No, I actually did it really fast, and I don't like that you're not giving me.
We're fighting, okay?
We're fighting.
Interesting.
No, it's fine. I'm fine.
But we should go to Salem.
We should go to
Salem. I also really, because if
we
we go to Salem, we can go to Boston and we can see the Great Gatsby musical.
Oh, yes,
at the ART
so down.
With lyrics written by Florence and the Machine.
I actually would be so down. We should do this.
Okay.
I'm so excited for this season.
Yeah, thanks for listening to Girl Historians.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in.
Everything will be in the show notes or the description. We will have the Patreon, our email, Blair and I's Instagram, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, all that good stuff. Engage with us on any level you please.
Let us know what you want us to talk about.
Yeah, truly, like drop us a comment on the YouTube or, send
an email.
Send us an email.
I love receiving emails. Somebody sent me on the email and I sent it to everyone. The funniest fucking video I've ever seen that was in hilarious. My fucking life.
This guy getting noosed.
It's like somebody in like a middle school production of The Wizard of Oz, like walking into a noose that's hanging for some reason. Wild. So funny.
Incredible. It was
so thank you for that. Cried. Send us whatever you want to the email. No dick pics.
Yeah. Now that we're doing not a limited series where we've got a different kind of content structure.
So you can we should talk about this and we can actually make an episode on it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's really fun. It's something we're really excited to kind of, do with this now that it's
we should go.
Well, okay. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, guys. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.